Some moments don't announce themselves. They don't come with fireworks or dramatic music. They arrive softly, the way truth does, and rearrange everything without asking permission. And for Emma and Noah, that moment began with a quiet silence in the middle of the parking lot. After the distant car door slammed shut, the world settled again. The breeze grew calm. The sky darkened into deeper shades of blue. A few windows in the community center clicked off one by one. But Noah didn't step back. And Emma didn't move away. They stood inches apart, a closeness they both once avoided but now felt strangely natural. Comforting. Right. Noah's expression had softened into something warm and vulnerable. Something she knew he didn't show to just anyone. "I don't want this night to end without being honest," he said quietly. Her heartbeat fluttered. "Then be honest," she whispered. He nodded once, gathering his breath. "I've been trying to ignore how much I care about you for a long time," he said. "I kept telling myself it was just concern, or friendship, or something that would fade if I kept my distance." Emma felt her chest tighten. "But every time you laughed," he continued, "every time you looked tired but tried to hide it, every time you walked into the room, it only got harder to pretend." Emma swallowed, her voice almost trembling. "Noah." He shook his head gently, not stopping her, but letting her know he needed to finish. "I didn't step closer earlier just because I was worried," he said. "I stepped closer because I couldn't help it. Being near you feels right. And tonight, when you walked away, something in me just refused to let you go alone." Emma's breath caught, soft and sharp. The honesty of his voice, the sincerity in his eyes, it made everything inside her feel exposed but safe at the same time. She whispered, "You're not the only one who felt that." The faintest relief washed over his expression. "Yeah," he murmured. She nodded, stepping closer in a way that finally erased any remaining space between them, still respectful, still gentle, but certain. "Noah," she said, "I didn't realize it at first. I pushed the feeling away. I told myself I imagined the way you looked at me. I didn't want to misread anything either." His breath hitched, a quiet, emotional sound he didn't hide fast enough. "But tonight," she went on, "when you followed me, when you stood that close, when you talked to me the way you did, I knew." "Knew what?" he asked softly. "That you felt something." She paused, then added, voice trembling in warmth, "And that I did too." Noah closed his eyes briefly, letting her words settle into him. When he opened them again, they held a depth she had never seen there before. His voice came out low, steady, heartfelt. "Emma, I want to be someone you can turn to. Someone you don't have to hide from. And if you'll let me, I want to be more than just the person standing nearby when you're having a hard day." Emma felt her throat tighten in the sweetest, most overwhelming way. "You already are," she whispered. His breath broke softly at that, a small exhale that sounded like relief, hope, and something deeper. A passing car hummed along the street, its headlights sweeping across them before fading into the distance. The world grew quiet again. Emma reached up slightly, not touching him, but almost. Close enough for him to understand she wasn't afraid of this. "Not anymore." "Noah," she said gently, "what do you want, honestly?" He didn't hesitate this time. "I want you," he said. "Not in a rushed way. Not in a dramatic way. I just want to be in your life in a way that means something real." Emma felt warmth spread through her chest, soft, calm, certain. "I want that too," she replied. Just then, a cool wind brushed between them, carrying away the last of the doubt, the hesitation, the years of quiet wondering. Noah stepped just a breath closer, slow, respectful, careful with every inch. He didn't touch her. He didn't need to. But the closeness said everything. "I don't want to move too fast," he murmured. "You're not," she whispered. "And I don't want to say something you're not ready for," he added. She shook her head softly. "I'm ready for whatever truth you have." A quiet smile touched his lips, small, but sincere. Then, finally, he spoke the words that had been building inside him all night, the ones he had almost said a dozen times, the ones that finally came out in a soft, steady confession. "I'm falling in love with you, Emma." Emma's breath trembled, not from fear, but from the warmth that filled her so completely she couldn't hide it if she tried. She looked up at him, eyes soft, voice steady. "Noah, I'm falling for you too." The words settled into the quiet night like they belonged there, honest, gentle, and beautifully real. Noah let out a breath that sounded like someone finally letting themselves hope. He didn't step closer this time. He didn't have to. Because this moment, felt complete on its own. Two people standing under a soft street lamp. Two hearts admitting what they'd both tried so hard to ignore. Two futures quietly shifting toward each other without forcing anything. Emma smiled, a small, sincere, peaceful smile. "So," she whispered, "what happens now?" Noah's expression warmed, full of patient certainty. "Now," he said softly, "we take our time. We let this grow. And we don't run away from it anymore." Emma nodded, feeling every word settle into her like a promise. "I'd like that," she said. He smiled, that quiet, genuine smile she'd always noticed without meaning to. And as they stood there, the night slowly settling around them, one simple truth became clear. This moment wasn't the beginning of something uncertain. It was the beginning of something real. And neither of them wanted to let it go. Some moments feel ordinary right up until the second they're not. And for Emma, it happened the instant she turned around and found Noah standing far closer than she ever expected. It was during one of those long afternoons where the day felt heavier than it should have. Work had been a mess. Her thoughts were louder than usual. And all she wanted was a quiet corner in the community center to breathe. She didn't think anyone followed her out of the meeting room. She certainly didn't hear footsteps behind her. But when she stepped into the hallway and stopped, someone stopped too. She didn't notice it at first. She only felt the faintest shift in the air, like someone else was sharing her silence. When she finally turned, Noah was right there. Not in a startling way. Not in a dramatic way. Just closer. Close enough for her to see the warmth in his eyes even in the dim hallway light. He looked surprised too, as if he hadn't intended to stand that near. As if he'd walked forward without realizing how much space he'd closed. "Sorry," he murmured, stepping back just a little. "I didn't mean to sneak up on you." His voice was softer than she was used to. Calmer. Almost gentle. Emma forced a small smile. "It's okay. I just needed a moment." He nodded, but there was something in the way he watched her, something understanding, something careful. She wasn't sure why it made her chest tighten. Noah had always been steady, observant, the kind of person who listened more than he spoke. But she had never seen him look at her like he was now. Like he wasn't just noticing her mood, but seeing straight through the parts she tried so hard to hide. "Rough day?" he asked quietly. Emma let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Something like that. Noah leaned against the wall, giving her space but still close enough that the warmth of his presence reached her. He didn't push her to explain. He didn't fill the silence. He just stayed. And that alone eased something inside her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hallway was quiet, only the faint hum of ceiling lights and distant echoes from the main room. Emma stared at the floor, then at her hands, then finally at him. The way he watched her wasn't intense. It wasn't overwhelming. It was patient, like he was waiting for her to decide whether she wanted to talk or just breathe. She wasn't used to being given that kind of space. Then he asked, "Do you want to step outside for a minute? It's quieter out there." It was such a simple offer. Still, it made her heart stutter for a beat. "Yeah," she whispered. "I think I do." He nodded once, then pushed the door open for her. A cool breeze rushed in, brushing past her hair as she stepped onto the empty patio behind the building. Noah followed, letting the door close gently behind them. The sky was painted with soft evening colors, shades of gold, blue, and rose fading into each other. Emma breathed it in. The quiet. The open air. The gentle presence standing beside her. "Thank you," she said, though she wasn't sure which part she was thanking him for, following her, noticing, or simply being kind. He shrugged lightly. "You seemed like you needed someone to make sure you weren't alone." His honesty caught her off guard. She turned her face toward him. He wasn't watching the sky. He was watching her. Not in a bold way. Not in a way that demanded anything. Just seeing her. All the pieces she usually kept tucked away. The wind moved again, lifting a loose strand of her hair. Noah lifted his hand as if to gently brush it aside, then hesitated halfway, stopping himself. Emma noticed. He noticed her noticing. And for a brief second, something unspoken settled between them, warm, fragile, unexpected. She looked away before she could say something she wasn't ready to admit. But Noah's voice followed, softer this time. Emma, you don't have to pretend you're okay around me. The words landed quietly, deeply. She swallowed. Her throat felt tight. Her heart felt strange. For a moment, she forgot about the hard day, the meeting, the noise. She forgot everything except the person standing beside her, the one who somehow managed to see her even when she didn't say a word. The breeze shifted again. And just as she turned back to him, Noah stepped a little closer, not too close, but close enough that she felt the difference instantly. Close enough that she wondered if he'd moved without meaning to, or if he finally had. The evening air felt thinner. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Noah, why did you follow me out here? He held her gaze, steady and sincere. I don't like seeing you walk away when you're hurting. Her breath caught. Before she could respond, before she could decide what this moment was turning into, something flickered in Noah's expression. A question. A hesitation. A shift she didn't know how to read. And then he said her name so quietly she almost didn't hear him. That was when Emma realized this moment wasn't ordinary at all. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. The soft evening light reflected in Noah's eyes as he took another slow breath, as if he had something more to say, something that mattered. But he didn't say it. Not yet. Not in this moment that balanced so delicately between what they were and what they might become. Some moments don't need noise to feel loud. And as Emma stood beside Noah on that quiet patio, she felt every unspoken word pulsing in the space between them. He hadn't stepped back yet. He hadn't looked away. He just stood there, steady and warm, like he was trying to find the courage to finish whatever he'd meant to say before stopping himself. Emma swallowed softly. Noah, what is it? He let out a slow breath, one hand brushing the back of his neck the way he always did when he felt unsure. For someone who usually kept his thoughts close, it was strange seeing him struggle to hide what was on his mind. It's nothing, he said. But it wasn't nothing. She could hear it in the way his voice dipped, gentler than usual. She could see it in the way his shoulders shifted, like he was carrying something he wasn't ready to let go of, but didn't want to keep to himself either. Emma took a small step closer, though she barely realized she did. Noah, you followed me out here. You stood closer than you ever do. And you almost said something that clearly wasn't nothing. He exhaled again, this time deeper, and finally leaned his elbows against the patio railing. Emma joined him, leaving only a thin breath of space between them. He began, staring at the sky, I didn't want you to go through today alone. That's not all, she whispered. His eyes flicked to hers for a short, lingering moment. Enough to tell her she was right. Enough to tell her he wasn't sure how much she wanted to hear. He shifted again, slowly, thoughtfully. You looked like you were drowning back there, he said. Like you were trying so hard to hold everything together that you didn't have any pieces left for yourself. Emma felt the air knock out of her chest. She hadn't expected him to notice that deeply. I didn't think anyone could tell, she murmured. I could, he replied. I notice when you're struggling, even when you think no one does. The honesty of it made her heart ache. Not in a painful way, in that quiet, emotional way that comes when someone sees you more clearly than you ever expected. She looked down at her hands, feeling the weight of his words settle around her. Noah, she whispered, why do you pay that much attention? He froze just slightly. Barely noticeable, but enough. The wind brushed past them again, moving gently through the trees. Noah closed his eyes for a brief second, like he was deciding something or bracing for something. When he opened them, his voice came out lower, steadier. Because you matter to me more than you think. Emma's breath caught. Her fingers curled against the railing, gripping it lightly to keep her balance. She turned to face him fully now. Noah, what are you saying? He didn't answer at first. Instead, he looked at her, really looked, with an expression that held too many quiet confessions at once. "I'm saying," he began, then stopped again. Emma waited. She wasn't sure her heart was beating normally anymore. But before Noah could finish, the door behind them swung open slightly. Voices from inside drifted out for a moment, the meeting organizers calling names, asking people to return. Noah's jaw tensed. The moment dissolved like a delicate thread cut too soon. He pushed off the railing. "We should go back inside," he said quietly. Emma blinked, thrown by the sudden shift. "Just like that?" He hesitated, then took a small step toward her. Not close enough to cross the line he almost crossed earlier, but close enough for her to feel it again, that quiet warmth he kept trying not to show. "Emma," he said softly, "if we stay out here any longer, I'm going to say something I'm not sure you're ready to hear." Her breath stilled. A flicker of something, fear, hope, confusion, moved through her. "What if I am ready?" she whispered before she could stop herself. This time, Noah was the one who froze. He looked at her with an expression she had never seen on him before, something vulnerable, something careful, something that felt dangerously close to crossing a line neither of them had ever dared to touch. He lifted a hand slightly, as if he wanted to reach for her but didn't. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Emma, don't say that unless you mean it." She didn't look away. "I meant it." The silence that followed was soft, but powerful. The door behind them pushed open a bit more as someone called both of their names. Noah inhaled sharply, pulling himself back to reality. "We should go," he murmured. She nodded, though neither of them moved right away. Finally, Noah stepped toward the door, holding it open for her like he always did. But just before she walked through, she felt him pause behind her, close enough for his presence to brush against her shoulders, close enough for her heartbeat to pulse in her ears. When she turned, he was looking at her again, with that same quiet intensity. "After the meeting," he said softly, "can we talk?" Emma nodded once, her voice too tangled to speak. He nodded back, slowly, like he'd made a decision he couldn't take back. As the door closed behind them, the weight of what almost happened lingered warm, fragile, and full of possibility. And Emma knew. Nothing about the rest of the evening would feel normal now. Some moments follow you, even when you're trying hard to focus on something else. And for Emma, the entire meeting blurred into a quiet hum she couldn't really hear. Because all she could think about was Noah's voice. His closeness. His unfinished words. Every time she glanced in his direction, he was already looking away, but not fast enough to hide the fact that he'd been watching her first. He sat across the room, a few chairs away, posture straighter than usual, hands clasped, pretending to pay attention. But she recognized the small signs that gave him away. The slight tightening of his jaw. The way he tapped his thumb against his palm when he was nervous. He only did that when something mattered too much. Emma wasn't sure why that realization made her chest feel warm and unsteady all at once. By the time the meeting ended, she felt like she'd been holding her breath for hours. People began filing out of the room. Chairs scraped. Voices rose. Everyone was in their own world. But Noah. Noah stayed seated, waiting for her. He didn't approach her right away. He didn't say her name across the room. He just watched her gather her things, his eyes steady, like he was making sure she didn't slip away this time. When the room finally emptied, Emma walked toward him with her heart beating far louder than her footsteps. He stood up slowly, almost cautiously, like he didn't want to startle the moment that had been hovering between them since they stepped off that patio. "Do you want to go somewhere quieter?" he asked. She nodded. "Yeah. I think I do." They walked down the hallway side by side, not touching, not speaking, but close enough to feel the warmth between them. Noah led her to the small lounge near the back of the building. The lights were dimmer there, softer. Only the faint glow from the street lamps outside filtered through the windows. He closed the door gently behind them, then turned to face her. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Noah took a slow breath. "Emma, earlier, when I said you matter more than you think, I meant it." Her heart tightened. "I know," she whispered. He stepped closer, not too close, but close enough that she felt the shift instantly. I've wanted to say something for a while, he continued. But I kept stopping myself. Why? Emma asked softly. He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck again. Because I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. And I didn't want to ruin anything between us. He hesitated, then added, quieter than before. And I wasn't sure if you ever saw me the same way. Emma felt her breath catch. She didn't look away this time. She didn't hide behind long pauses or safe answers. Noah, why did you think I didn't? His eyes flicked up, surprised. I don't know, he admitted. You're good at keeping things to yourself. Especially your feelings. And I didn't want to assume anything. She stepped a little closer now, almost without meaning to. You noticed my bad days, she said softly. You noticed when I was falling apart even when I tried to pretend I was fine. But you never noticed the way I looked at you. His expression shifted, a quiet shock, a dawning understanding. Emma, he breathed, I didn't want to imagine something that wasn't real. Well, she whispered, voice trembling despite her best effort, it's real. Silence poured into the space between them, warm, delicate, trembling with possibility. Noah looked at her with an expression she had never seen on him before. A mix of hope, disbelief, and something deeper. He took another small step forward. Not too close. Just close enough that she could feel the warmth of him, the steadiness, the quiet emotion in his voice when he finally asked. Can I be honest with you? She nodded, barely breathing. Yes. He swallowed once, gathering his courage. I care about you, he said. More than I've let myself admit. More than I thought I should. Emma stared at him, stunned by the gentleness in his confession. He continued, voice low and steady. You don't have to say anything back. You don't have to decide anything right now. I needed to be honest for once. Because when you walked out earlier, I realized how much I hated the idea of letting you walk away feeling alone. Emma felt the full weight of his words settle deep inside her. She had waited a long time for someone to see her, truly see her, without her having to beg for it, explain it, or hide pieces of herself. And now someone was standing right in front of her, offering something honest. Something gentle. Something real. She took a breath, then whispered. Noah. I don't want you to hold back anymore. His eyes widened just slightly. Enough to show how much those words hit him. Before he could reply, a soft knock sounded on the lounge door, faint but enough to snap the moment just slightly. They both turned their heads, startled. Someone from the front desk called out, We're closing in a few minutes. Emma's heart fluttered. Noah ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. The moment wasn't gone. But it had shifted, suspended, waiting. He looked at her again, not uncertain this time, but with quiet determination. Walk you out? He asked softly. Emma nodded. But she knew. When they stepped outside, something between them would change again in a way neither of them could undo. And the night was far from over. Some moments don't need decisions. They just unfold, step by step, until you're standing right in the middle of something you never expected. Emma felt that the moment she and Noah left the lounge together, the hallway lights had dimmed for closing time. Most people were gone. Only the soft echoes of distant voices remained. But the air between her and Noah, that felt fuller, closer, different. He walked beside her, not quite touching, but near enough that every quiet movement felt like its own kind of conversation. When they reached the exit doors, Noah pushed one open and let the cool night air drift in. A soft breeze swept across the empty parking lot, brushing against Emma's hair and settling the tension in her shoulders. Noah held the door for her, then stepped outside too. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving the world strangely still. For a long moment, neither spoke. They walked slowly across the lot, their footsteps echoing against the quiet pavement. Emma glanced at him from the corner of her eye. He looked thoughtful. Maybe a little nervous. But there was something else too, something steady, something warm, something that made her heart lift even before he said a word. Noah, she began softly, you really meant everything you said back there, didn't you? He stopped walking. Emma turned to face him. The street lamp cast a soft glow over them, painting his expression in warm light. He met her eyes without hesitation this time. Yes, he said. Every word. Her breath caught. And I know it probably came out of nowhere, he continued. I know I should have said something sooner. But I didn't want to complicate your life, or make things harder, or push feelings you might not share. Emma stepped closer, small, careful, but certain. You didn't push anything, she said gently. You didn't make anything harder. He looked at her like he was trying to read the truth behind her voice. Then what did I do? He asked quietly. You made me feel seen, she whispered. Something shifted in Noah's face. The guardedness faded. The uncertainty eased. He exhaled slowly, the kind of breath someone takes when they realize they're not standing on their own after all. Emma, he said, voice barely above a murmur, I don't want to pretend anymore. She stared at him, her heart trembling in a way she couldn't hide. You don't have to, she whispered. Not with me. A soft silence fell between them, a warm, breathtaking silence. And earlier, she added, when I said I might be ready to hear what you wanted to say. I meant that too. He blinked once, stunned by how honest she was being. His voice came out lower, more emotional. Are you sure? She nodded. Yeah, I'm sure. Noah took a step toward her now, slow, thoughtful, deliberate. Not hesitant, just careful with the moment. He stopped only a few inches away. The closeness wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't too much. It was gentle, warm, and full of everything he hadn't said yet. Emma, he whispered, I care for you so much more than I ever planned to. Her chest tightened. Her breath stilled. Noah continued, words trembling with softness. I think about you when I don't mean to. I notice things about you without trying. And every time you walk into a room, everything in me shifts a little. Emma felt her heartbeat in her ears, steady, hopeful, unsteady, all at once. I never wanted to misread anything, he added. I never wanted to cross a line if you didn't feel the same. She lifted her chin slightly, meeting his eyes with calm, quiet truth. You're not misreading anything. His breath hitched. A small, fragile smile touched her lips. I didn't walk away earlier because I wanted to be alone, she confessed. I walked away because I didn't know how to handle the way you were looking at me. Noah swallowed hard. You noticed that? How could I not? She whispered. It felt like you were saying more with your eyes than with your words. His voice softened even further. That's because I was. A warm wind swept across the parking lot, brushing against them, carrying away the last strands of hesitation. Noah's gaze dipped briefly, not at her lips, not in a bold way, but more like someone searching for permission to stay exactly where he was. Emma, he said slowly, tell me if I'm too close. She shook her head. You're not. The admission hung between them, quiet but powerful. He took one last small step forward, closing the distance so gently she barely felt it happen. This wasn't the kind of closeness that asked for anything. It wasn't too bold. It wasn't rushed. It was simply the closeness of someone who finally understood he was welcome. A closeness that asked only one question, the one his voice found next, softer than anything he had said all night. Can I tell you something real? He asked. Emma nodded, her voice barely steady. Yes. Please. He held her eyes with a tenderness that made her breath tremble. I think I've been falling for you, he said quietly, long before I realized it. Her heart stopped. Her knees felt unsteady. But her voice found its strength. Noah, you're not the only one. He closed his eyes for a brief second, as if the weight of her words wrapped around him. When he opened them again, there was a new kind of emotion there, deep, warm, and certain. He took in a breath like he was about to say something even more vulnerable. Something that might change everything, fully and completely. But before he could speak, a car door slammed from across the parking lot, startling enough to break the moment just slightly. Emma's pulse fluttered. Noah's eyes softened even more. Can we keep talking? He asked quietly. Not just tonight. I mean, really talk. She nodded, her voice gentle but unwavering. I want that. He smiled, small, sincere, overwhelmed. But Emma could tell. There was still one thing he hadn't said. One truth lingering on the tip of his tongue, waiting for the right breath, the right silence, the right moment. And that moment was coming. Soon.